Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at some fun battles in the Open Ultra League featuring a level 50 Shundo Probopass. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Probopass is a Rock and Steel type Pokemon, and at level 50 it only gets to 2351 CP, so it's gonna need all the help it can get to get some wins. So this trainer pairs it up with a very powerful meta core of Virizion and Greedent. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Shundo Probopass in the Open Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, picking up an amazing lead, Virizion into Tapu Fini. Opponent save switches into Toxicroak, and this is a massive core breaker for the entire team. Toxicroak can do well against all three of these Pokemon, so this is really not ideal. Toxicroak is going to no-shield the Leaf Blade, build up to the Sludge Bomb, and this is going to force a shield from the Virizion. Virizion is going to be returning fire with a Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will be no-shielded, and now we see a switch into the Greedent. Greedent lightning fast with the Mud Shot Body Slam combination. Body Slam will be shielded by the Toxicroak. Toxicroak continues to farm. Toxicroak can go for a Sludge Bomb here, but Greedent is able to withstand that damage. Sludge Bomb is going to connect. Greedent already at Body Slam number 2. Toxicroak is unwilling to give up the second shield, and that's very important, as this means Greedent is going to be able to maintain switch advantage. The switch timers are misaligned, but throwing that Body Slam is certainly going to help. Greedent cannot make it to Body Slam number 2. In comes Virizion. Virizion is going to have to deal with a massive energy advantage on the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini goes for the Moonblast. In the back, it's a Shadow Charizard. In comes the Probopass, and there's just nothing the poor Charizard can do. Charizard, meet the Bastiodon of the Ultra League. It is Probopass. In comes Tapu Fini, and Tapu Fini is going to have to deal with a super effective Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt connects, hitting for super effective damage. Tapu Fini looking for the farm down, but Probopass says no, and that's a good game. Nightmare lead in the next match, Virizion into Charizard. Immediate save switch into Greedent. The Charizard is staying in this matchup, so Greedent is going to fire off this Body Slam. Body Slam doesn't do a ton of damage, but it does help to desync the switch timers, which is quite useful. Charizard has enough for the Blast Burn here, but they bait, and they're able to successfully grab a shield. Opponent now sends in Shadow Ampharos, and Ampharos is going to be met with the Body Slam. And even though Mudshot doesn't do a ton of damage, it is hitting for super effective damage onto the Ampharos. Going for Body Slam number 2 into the Ampharos. Ampharos is going to no shield. Ampharos does have enough energy for a Focus Blast, and we're going to see the double shield from the Greedent on the Focus Blast, and Greedent looking for a farm down and gets the farm down. Had to give up 2 shields to do so, but switch advantage is absolutely everything when you're running such an alignment dependent core like Probopass and Virizion. Making it to 1 Body Slam, that's no shielded. Body Slam number 2 will be shielded by the Charizard, and Greedent just way too spammy, making it to Body Slam number 3. This Body Slam will be shielded. Charizard giving up all of its shields to get a massive energy lead, but bad news, that energy is going nowhere against the Bastiodon of the Ultra League, Probopass. In the back, it's a Shadow Magnezone, farming up energy with the Probopass. Probopass is going to fire off the Rock Slide. Honestly, could have just immediately switched into the Virizion, but at this point, either way, the game is won. They can fire off energy onto the Virizion. They go for the Wild Charge. That does quite a lot of damage for a resisted move, but it's still just not going to be enough damage. The second Wild Charge will get Virizion into the red, but Virizion is able to withstand that damage. In comes the Charizard. Charizard winning CMP as it gets the KO with the Dragon Claw, but Probopass just rock throws down and takes the win. Dream lead in the next match, Virizion into Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk is completely walled, so we see a save switch from the opponent into Golisopod, which will be answered with Probopass. Probopass, unfortunately, will take super effective damage from Liquidation, but can return fire with super effective damage from the Rock Throw and the Rock Slide. Rock Slide will be shielded by the opponent, and Golisopod may be able to force multiple shields here, but it is worth it to keep switch advantage, so that way you're going to be able to keep that Galarian Stunfisk stuck against the Virizion, where it can't do anything whatsoever. Liquidation will be shielded. So Probopass gets the farm down, but its energy doesn't really do much of anything here going up against the Stunfisk. Gonna go for the last second Rock Slide. Unfortunately, Rock Slide and Thunderbolt both heavily resisted, so the Stunfisk is able to withstand that damage like it's nothing. In comes the Virizion in the back. It's a Toxicroak, and this is going to be difficult. The good news is Mudshot hits for super effective damage, but Toxicroak is hitting for super effective damage as well with the counters. Toxicroak continuing to farm up. Toxicroak is going to be firing off the Sludge Bomb here, and it's going to hurt. The opponent actually goes for a Mud Bomb instead. You do want to go for the harder hitting Sludge Bomb in this moment, as Sludge Bomb could potentially offer a farm down potential for the Toxicroak, whereas by going for the Mud Bomb, they're going to have to throw two moves here. They have to go for the Mud Bomb, and now Virizion can make it to a Leaf Blade. This Leaf Blade, I don't think it's quite going to be enough to KO, but it's going to be close. Getting the Toxicroak low, Virizion gets the farm down, a misplay from the opponent, and that's going to cost them the game. Had they gone for a Sludge Bomb and committed to the farm down, they could have made it to another Sludge Bomb versus the Virizion, and then the Virizion would have been low enough that Stunfisk might have actually been able to get the win. Whereas now the Stunfisk is just in a strictly losing position. Stunfisk is making it to another charge move. It's the Earthquake, but Virizion just such a wall to energy from Stunfisk, able to withstand that damage, and the Sacred Sword is going to secure the victory. Tough lead in the next match, Virizion into Galvantula. Galvantula, definitely not what Virizion is hoping to see on the lead. Galvantula almost always throws on alignment versus Virizion, so Virizion can just overfarm and get an entire fast move for free. Lunge hits for neutral. We now see the save switch into the Greedent. Galvantula staying in, and that is terrific for the Greedent, as Greedent makes it to the body slam. It gets no shielded, and now the Galvantula honestly can come pretty close to getting KO'd by a Leaf Blade later in the match. Galvantula goes for the lunge. Opponent now going to send in Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz already has a pretty solid matchup going up against Greedent, but now the opponent has guaranteed that they're going to be able to keep Switch. However, the Switch clocks are extremely misaligned, so this battler can potentially choose to save the Greedent for later, and as you're going to see, looking to make a switch into the Probopass and save the Greedent, because Greedent's debuffed. It can't really do much of anything, but since the opponent has misplayed this game, this gives an advantage to the Probopass. Probopass is now going up against the Mandibuzz that is still not able to switch, as their switch clock is not yet up. Mandibuzz forced to fire off charge move after charge move, hoping to burn the switch clock and save the Mandibuzz, and they do. In comes Jellicent. This is by far the most common Galvantula team. They run Galvantula, and then basically just two Pokemon that do very well in alignment, with Mandibuzz and the Jellicent in the back. However, they don't have that proper alignment because the switch clocks are so desynced. In comes the Virizion, opponent unable to switch, and they're just going to have to deal with this Leaf Blade. They commit the shield, Jellicent returning fire against the Virizion. Shadow Ball does not KO here, but it does do quite a lot, so we will see a shield from the Virizion and Leaf Blade number 2, putting pressure onto the Jellicent. Jellicent is going to double shield. In comes Mandibuzz, and Mandibuzz is going to be hit with the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword not going to come close to KOing, but it is important chip damage, and the switch clock is again almost up. Do you choose to save the Virizion? No. Aerial Ace will get the KO, and there's just no HP remaining here. In comes the Probopass, and Probopass is going to secure the knockout with the Rock Slide. There is still Greedent, however, and Greedent, I believe, has energy, and it does. Back in comes the Jellicent. Crunch should secure the knockout, and I believe the Galvantula is energy dry. And Galv took a lot of damage earlier, so against all odds, things looking very dire, able to take advantage of the desynced switch timers and win the game. We've got some serious spice from the opponent in the next match, leading Virizion into a Kanto Sandslash. Opponent save switches into Walrein, and Walrein is going to be met with a Leaf Blade from the Virizion. Leaf Blade does massive damage, so we will see a shield from the opponent, and now in comes Greedent. Greedent, absurdly spammy and absurdly bulky. Definitely one of the more frustrating Pokemon to go up against if you're facing it in the Ultra League, as it just refuses to get KO'd. And that 8 turns to a Body Slam is just unreal pacing. Firing off yet another Body Slam. Walrein already in the red, and the Greedent is still extremely healthy. Walrein gonna start firing off energy. They go for the Icicle Spear. Greedent will be able to tank another Icicle Spear, no problem here. So Greedent can no shield if it wants to and still maintain alignment. That's exactly what Greedent is going to do. Firing off the Body Slam, putting pressure onto the opponent. Opponent is going to look to double shield, trying to make a play for switch advantage, but Greedent is not going to let that happen. You cannot let that Saiyan Slash go up against the Probopass in the back, so it's definitely worth it for Greedent to shield and get the farm down. Back in comes the Kanto Saiyan Slash. Kanto Saiyan Slash will typically run Night Slash and its new move of Scorching Sands. We see a very nice catch by the opponent as they catch a Body Slam onto Trevenant, and Trevenant is now going to be met with the Shundo Probopass. Probopass, these rock throws are adding up, but Shadow Ball from the Trevenant is going to hurt. Shadow Ball connects onto the Probopass. Probopass going for the Rock Slide. Rock Slide, not the strongest move ever. Trevenant is able to withstand that damage, but Trevenant is just getting much too low, and Probopass gets the farm down, and the opponent concedes the match. Great lead in the next match, Virizion into Steelix. Opponent is going to save switch into Golisopod, going to stay in with the Virizion and fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade does some very nice chip damage, and now in comes Greedent. Greedent is of course going to be double resisting the Shadow Claws from the Golisopod, so this is a very frustrating matchup if you're the Golisopod, because you can basically never farm down. Greedent fires off the Body Slam, Golisopod already into the red health. Greedent continuing to farm, but playing to a CMP tie that it does not win. Golisopod goes for the Liquidation. Liquidation does get a defense drop, and Greedent is going to return fire with the Body Slam. Body Slam will get the KO. Opponent gonna send back in the Steelix, and Steelix will be met with the Crunch. Crunch doesn't do a ton of damage here. Steelix, of course, is very bulky, and Greedent does not have a particularly high attack stat. But the opponent is going for a full farm down with the Steelix, and Steelix with this much energy is going to be difficult to deal with. Greedent gets farmed down, and now you can just send in the Virizion in the back. The opponent has their own Virizion, and unfortunately this game is just going to be a loss. The opponent, with the Virizion Steelix core, there is just nowhere for that Probopass to run. Probopass taking super effective damage wherever it goes, actually double super effective damage from both the Sacred Sword and the Earthquake. So unfortunately, the Probopass has put in some pretty solid work, but this goes to show why Probopass is more of a pick for fun than for climbing, going up against what I would argue is the current strongest meta core in the Open Ultra League. It just doesn't have anywhere to run. Virizion continuing to farm, but keep in mind that Steelix has over an Earthquake stored in the back. We're going to see a switch into the Probopass to catch the Sacred Sword, but look at this damage right here. Oh my goodness, massive damage. In comes the Steelix. Steelix is going to be able to secure a knockout with the Earthquake as they farm to 100. Earthquake, massive overkill. In comes the Virizion, but it's just too little too late. The bulky meta core from the opponent overwhelms the Probopass, and that's game over. We see a core breaker on the lead in the next match, Virizion into Defense Deoxys. Defense Deoxys is a very awkward Pokemon for this entire team to see, as it can hit the entire team for super effective damage. Very nice overfarm there by the opponent. They have a lot of energy. They're going to fire off the Psycho Boost into the Virizion. Virizion going to return fire with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade does add up onto Deoxys. Deoxys now into the yellow. We see a save switch into the green. Opponent firing energy, which is a definite misplay on their part. They're debuffed, so that Psycho Boost is going to do absolutely nothing. But now we see why they threw that energy, because they were forced to mirror and bring in Greedent, so they were hoping for a little bit of chip to potentially allow them to keep switch advantage. However, that Psycho Boost really did not do a lot of damage, and their Greedent is pretty far behind in terms of energy. It's going to be a battle of Body Slam spam here. Body Slam versus Body Slam versus Body Slam. My goodness, the Greedents doing what they do best. The switch timer is up, but honestly, probably the best case scenario is taking this damage on the Greedent and not having to worry about it doing potentially more damage against something else. Opponent is going to spam out that Body Slam, returning fire with the Body Slam. At this point, I don't know how many times I've said Body Slam in this video, but it definitely feels like too many. Opponent throws energy, and honestly, this is fine, as this will allow the Virizion to get energy, and Virizion's energy is very useful, even going up against something like the Deoxys. Opting to go for the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade, in case the opponent caught onto the Deoxys, will secure the KO. Back in comes the Deoxys. Deoxys is going to be met with the Leaf Blade. This does not KO, but it will get the Deoxys deep into the red. Deoxys no shields. We see a switch into the Probopass as the opponent fires off their energy. It's the Psycho Boost. What's in the back? It's Greninja, and this is not at all what the Probopass was hoping to see. Hydro Cannon will hit for massive super effective damage. Opponent baits with a Night Slash. Oh my goodness, a bit of a misplay from the opponent, hoping for a shield, but Probopass with the bravery calling the bait. Probopass in a tough spot here. Do you just let it go and trust in Virizion? No. Committing the shield, trying to get rid of the Greninja, and just choosing to let this through. The opponent goes for the Night Sash. It does not KO. In comes the Virizion. Virizion is going to lose CMP, and that's unfortunate. Switch clock should be up soon for the opponent, and the match clock is almost up as well. Virizion going for the Leaf Blade. That secures the KO. In comes the Deoxys. Deoxys forced to throw a move. I think this will be a win via timer. Psycho Boost gets the KO. The Probopass has incrementally more health left, and that is a good game. All in all, Probopass, definitely a Pokemon that I would not recommend for climbing Elo, just due to its extreme flexibility, very similar to Bastiodon in the Open Great League. However, as you can see, in the right alignment, like going up against Charizard, it can be absolutely hilarious to watch one of the best sweepers in the entire format, Shadow Charizard, just be absolutely helpless as it gets farmed down by double super effective rock throws. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been Home Slice Henry.